On the final night of pool play in Taiwan, it's one game for one spot in the second round. Earlier today, the Dutch punched their tickets when a last gasp from the Aussies fell just short. Now the Koreans and Taiwanese take center stage in front of a frenzied and record-setting crowd in Taichung. A loss would devastate the two-time WBC semifinalists. An historic win would send the local faithful into hysteria. Who's off to Tokyo? Find out next. This was 2 full hours before first pitch here at Intercontinental Baseball Stadium. Thousands pouring in to secure their spot for the final and decisive game of Pool B, Chinese Taipei and Korea. And the up-to-the-minute Pool B standings. The Netherlands already safely into the second round with their second victory earlier today. Chinese Taipei and Korea still alive. Australia at 0-3 has been eliminated. And so for the final time, a very special welcome to our MLB Network audience with Joe McGrain. I'm JB Long. This was already going to be a marquee matchup with two top 5 teams in the world. Joe, the fact that it decides who moves on to Tokyo just means it's standing room only.
Well, most definitely, and Korea comes in heavily favored to start this pool, but they have to beat Chinese Taipei, and they have to do it rather convincingly.
Not as simple as winner take all, is it, here in this final? Spelling it out, the Netherlands, as a reminder, already in. Korea has to win, and they have to win big. 6 or more runs the margin to secure their spot. If you're Chinese Taipei, get a victory or keep it close. How do they make that happen?
Well, they really have to continue doing what they have been doing. It's amazing what a great starting pitching performance can do for you. In Game 1, it was Chen Meng-Guang, and of course the 5-time hitting champ Hung Young-min hitting the home run, and then a 3-run home run by Yang Daigong to really put a cap at the end of the ball game. It's a very balanced team on both sides of the ball. They executed very well, and I thought the biggest concern they had was how were they going to play after that great starting pitching performance by Chen Meng-Guang. Well, they played pretty good. As for Korea, they've had some defensive miscues, 4 errors in these 2 games. They are normally a very balanced team, and of course mentioning that they have to win by 6 or more runs really brings them into a big challenge here tonight.
Yeah, what is that going to be like? Win or go home, we're familiar with in all walks of sporting life. Win by 6 or go home?
It's really an amazing task when you try to think about it, because you're going to not want to stretch the strike zone. You're going to want to be disciplined. You're going to have to put big innings and at-bats together. It's one of the more unusual things that we've seen.
And there are going to be about 20,000 people here hoping that does not happen. Chinese Taipei has never advanced to the second round. The Koreans have never been eliminated before the WBC semifinals. First pitch right after this. Their home crowd is behind them, but they will be the visitors on the scoreboard. 2-0 Chinese Taipei looking to close out a perfect run through Pool B. Their lineup starts with Yang Daigong, who homered last time out. Lin Zhixuan plays center field. Hung Jung-min is at first base. Lin Zhishang, the cleanup hitting shortstop, also a potential appearance here in the first inning. We'll introduce the rest of the Chinese Taipei lineup as we get underway. They will face, for Korea, a lefty on the hill, Chon Won-jun, 27 years old, 6 foot tall, 190 pounds.
And Bubba Jones and Steve Guttenberg would be proud. He is pitching for the police academy, at least he did last year, fulfilling his military responsibilities. Good stuff, moves the ball around very well on both sides of the plate, and a big breaking curveball that he has good command of. Has a good idea of what he's doing, and you see with that earlier, a good earned run average in the mid-2s. He knows how to pitch.
You pointed out the gloves have to be sharp behind it. Not only do they have to do it with the bat, speaking of Korea, they have to keep Chinese Taipei off the scoreboard, as run differential will be key. Kim plays left field. Chun in center. Lee Young-kyu in right field. Kong, Son, Chung, and Lee Dae-ho left to right across your infield. Kong Min-ho gets the start behind the plate, working with Chun. Those 4 errors early. Much cleaner game 2 for the Koreans defensively. Look at their manager, Ryu Jung-il, in his 3rd World Baseball Classic. This is his first as the manager, however. And some obstructed view seats underneath the Taiwanese flag there. They'll see plenty of baseball here over the next 9.
Boy, it just has been really cool. The enthusiasm that's obviously very palpable for these 2 teams. And you mentioned it right off the top, the early arriving crowd, the enthusiasm that is not going to just fade away after a couple of innings. It is going to be like this for 8, maybe 9 innings.
When we wrapped up game 1 of our doubleheader between the Dutch and the Australians and just stepped outside the broadcast booth, just behind us there's a mezzanine level, and already thousands of fans gathered to wait in line, to pour in, to see batting practice, to take pictures of what is really an historic game here in Taichung. The city has been all over this one. The front page of every newspaper, every TV we've walked by in our hotel and in the city.
It's all come to this.
The left fielder leads off. Couple of 1-for-4 games on his card throughout this Pool B World Baseball Classic, and we are underway in the decisive final game.
I think if you're Korea, you want to have a couple of real crisp innings, especially the first one for Chong, because obviously he knows the assignment. They have to win by 6 or more runs, and best way to do that is to develop some momentum, some enthusiasm. There's plenty in the ballpark, and a quick, sharp 1-2-3 inning.
Jumping ahead, 0-2 won't hurt. First 4 hitters for Chinese Taipei, all right-handed against the lefty starter. Broken bat down to 3rd. Kong has it. Out number 1.
Boy, you want to talk about getting sawed off, almost between the thumbs. Good cut fastball after everything had been away, and Yang very surprised by that, offering at that inside pitch. That's called getting saw-bladed.
Stop sliding over to 3rd base tonight is Ninja Schwen, the center fielder. Lane's coming off an 0-for-4 with a strikeout performance in game 2 against the Netherlands. Did pick up a couple of hits against the Australians as pool play began.
Chong has that delivery where it really settles over the rubber for a while before he really collects himself, a lot like Chen Meng Wong, except he does it more back towards center field. He just kind of steps to the side right there, and am I ready to go? Gather and try to finish the hitter off. And oftentimes you can see starting pitchers in the first inning out of sorts, and they like to develop rhythm out of the windup. So far, so good. Ball coming out of his hand nicely.
Would like to keep Lean off the base paths. He's a former 100-meter sprint and high jump national champion.
Sprinting, high jumping, swinging the bat. Pretty good athlete. Lean really aware of the inside third of the plate, and he's got that little turnover pitch, kind of a split change turnover. Let's see if he elects to go with that now, as Lean very aware of the inside part of the plate. Going outside.
Back up the middle. Sung. Not in time. Well, we mentioned the speed by the two-hitter, and he beats it out.
Well said, JB, getting in front of that, talking about the speed of Lean. He knew he was fooled, and at that point, watch how quickly he is moving, getting those legs pumping, knowing that the ball's not hit that hard, and he was clearly by the bag. Knows he's fooled. Turn on the Jets.
Here's Peng Jung-min, a 34-year-old power hitter.
Loves pitches on the outer third of the plate. We've already seen a home run down the right field line. Talked in his earlier at-bats, and that also goes for Chong as well, that he has to establish that inner third of the plate. He's proven that he does not want to swing at it until at least he gets to 2 strikes. And when he does swing at it, it is more of a defensive swing where he's fighting it off, as opposed to really creating a lot of leverage like he does on pitches that are middle away.
Joe, as I listen to this crowd, I'm convinced 3 batters in, they could care less about run differential. They want a win over the 2-time WBC semifinal.
Boy, you can feel the enthusiasm, can't you?
From the set, John checks first.
Korea looking like they were wanting to go back inside on Peng again, and obviously a good idea. Chong did not locate that last pitch as well as he would have liked. 5-time batting champion in the Korean Baseball League. And again, with his catcher moving to the inner third of the plate and still missing up and away. And I've said this many times, I think a lot of it has to do with pitching out of the stretch in the first inning. It just so happens that the way lineups are constructed, your best hitters are 2, 3, 4, 5, and you want to be facing them out of the windup without anyone on base, developing rhythm, developing a release point. He's made a couple of mistakes where he's gotten away with it.
Again, a 1-2, spoiled. As a starting pitcher yourself, how much work out of the stretch would you do as you prepared to start?
Just remember something Greg Maddux told me, that he does most of his practice, or did most of his practice out of the stretch, because he knew he was going to have to throw his most important pitches out of the stretch. But what you want to do in the first inning, ideally, is be out of the windup, or be out of the windup the whole game, as it were, because that's where you really collect the most rhythm. Talking how Peng likes the ball out over the plate. This ball more so in the middle on the inner third, and you see how he's still just a little bit tied up. He's going to wait till 2 strikes to swing at that pitch. He's already seen 5 pitches. That is not his nitro zone.
Got him. Away, 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 and finally beat him down.
Best pitch he threw in the entire sequence after getting away with a couple of mistakes up and away. He threw a beautiful pitch to tie him up on the inside part of the plate, only to go away on a little bit of a kind of a turnover split Scroogey action type changeup. That was a great sequence of pitches, even though he had to throw 6 to do it.
cleanup hitting shortstop, Lin Zhisheng.
You know, as predominant as Peng was in wanting to drive the ball the other way, Lin is a predominant pole hitter. He looks to hit the ball to the left side of the field. With the flags being limp.
That's exactly what he does. Kong covers the line, takes the short out at second. A hit, but that's it in the Chinese Taipei first. No runs on the board. Korea coming to bat. If you're in the Korean starting lineup, you know that you basically start the night 6 runs down. That's the challenge for 1 through 9. It starts with Lee Young-kyu, the left-handed swinging right fielder. Chung Kanu at second base. Lee Sung-yap, the designated hitter, also due here in the first inning. They will face for Chinese Taipei the left-handed starter, Yang Yao-shing, making his second appearance of this 2013 World Baseball Classic. Worked an inning against Australia, gave up a solo home run, did strike out 2 batters, and now gets his first start.
A couple of left-handers in this matchup, and they both have similar deliveries and similar starts to their deliveries out of the windup, where they both kind of a little side saddle towards third base and then just kind of collect themselves and then just kind of gather and go. But with no one on base, it takes a while to get that windup started and slowly building momentum.
Goes in a strike with his first offering. 7-year-old Lee Young-kyu. Dangerous at the top of any order, led the Korean Baseball League with 44 steals for the Kia Tigers a season ago. Unless we gave you the impression that the Koreans were outnumbered here in terms of supporters, a fantastic section of their own. Going the opposite way with that pitch. How about the scouting report? Young had him played perfectly. Yang Daigong in left field, Lin Zhisheng in center, Jung Jae-ming in right field, Chen at third, Min at short, Guo Yan-wen at second base, and we mentioned Peng, the power hitting first baseman, with Gao Zhigong behind the dish.
Yeah, well said, JB, with the left-handed hitter just trying to serve it into left field. Perfectly positioned in left for a little humpback liner. Yeah, guarding the line, oftentimes a left-handed hitter, you'll be off the line in left. But Yang perfectly positioned.
Second hitting, second baseman Chung Kanu looking for his first hit of this classic. 0 for 4 against the Netherlands, 0 for 5 against the Aussies, and left 6 on base.
Great rivalry. Everyone's fired up. You look at the Korean manager. Team Korea 14-5 in WBC play, bested only by Japan.
Pretty open about the fact that they have intentions of not just a rematch with Japan, but winning the entire classic. Still soured by the loss in the finals in 2009. It's going to take a monumental victory here to even have the chance. Missed down a 4-pitch walk, and the first base runner for the Koreans.
You know, I would think with a young pitcher on the hill, and it's not like he's completely inexperienced, but knowing that he essentially has a 6-0 lead spotted to him, that has to take something away from the concentration of, ideally you want to have a moment-to-moment, pitch-to-pitch focus, and that 6-0 lead that it's not on the scoreboard that he basically has, though. I think that is flowing to and fro in his mind.
An identical situation to what his counterpart faced in the top half of the frame. One quick out, the 2-hitter reaches right to the stretch. Lee-Sung Yap digs in the 2006 World Baseball Classic. He led the entire tournament with 5 home runs. Also produced 10 runs at the plate. To left. Again, Yang Dai-gong barely has to move for out number 2. Both these pitching staffs in very good shape in terms of available arms. Only Wong and Pan unavailable to Chinese Taipei tonight, and already with the runner on, an arm up.
You know, I think based on the conditions and what Korea has to do, I think that is a bit. I think that is a bit premature. Here's the big fella, and this guy's got some thunder.
A less than warm welcome from the predominantly Taiwanese crowd. Lee Dae-ho, whose reputation in Asian baseball precedes him. Won a Best 9 award last year in the Nippon Pro League in Japan. Coming off a 3 of 4 performance in Game 2 for Korea. How do you interpret the message if you're on the hill? You got 2 outs, a runner in first base, and you're over your shoulder, a teammate already warming up.
Yeah, JB, it really is part of the culture. It's the same thing that's going on in the Korean bullpen. It's unlike Major League Baseball, where you're going to let the starter go, let him work out of the jam. And this is, like I said, a unique situation where Korea has to win by 6 or more runs. And this is just how the game is played over here.
Yan brings the 1-1.
That's starting pitcher Chung still continuing to warm up in the bullpen, and again, I said that, you know, part of the culture in Japanese baseball, the Tokyo Dome, oftentimes the starter would pitch, and when his team was hitting, he'd be underneath in the pitching mound continuing to throw, trying to stay loose.
Runner off the 2-1 pitch. It was wide, and the catcher Gao had no chance. To his feet and to third. Chung's going to try it, and he is toast. The third out made at third base, Joe.
Now that cannot happen.
The Koreans burn a 1-out walk. Chung Kanu gunned down from center field.
Bottom of the second, Chinese Taipei coming to the plate. Mentioned that Korea has to win this game by 6 or more. Chung Kanu stealing second. I think your instinct, and when you see a ball go into center field, is to go, but he has one hesitation at second base, and that hesitation cost him at third base with the cleanup hitter at the plate. Chance with one swing to kind of hack off that lead, or deficit rather. Not what you want to see.
Joe Sichi, the designated hitter for Chinese Taipei, falls behind 0-2. Chinese professional baseball league's reigning MVP and Silver Slugger here in Taiwan. 365 last year, 21 deep shots. You mentioned the unique nature and some of the interesting wrinkles we've seen over here this week in Taiwan. Part of the reason I think the crowd shows up so early is pregame is so entertaining. Right? An hour before first pitch, Chinese Taipei was taking a full infield.
And getting the pageantry and all the cheers ready and getting in sync. Actually, I don't think that's the problem. Something tells me.
The Koreans answered with their own game of pepper right in front of their own dugout right before we got started here.
It's just so different, so interesting to watch.
count for Chang. And a leadoff walk. We saw him working down the bullpen between innings. That at bat makes me wonder if he's almost fighting himself a little bit, if he's trying to sort something out rather than just staying loose.
I mentioned, part of these things are cultural things. I know in Japan, when a pitcher gets taken out of the game, he goes underneath and continues to throw. And so just by the fact that he's throwing in the bullpen, I don't think is to be interpreted. For our purposes, it's completely different because it doesn't happen at the major league level, but it happens frequently over here, and of course does in Japan, and most of those customs very similar over here in Chinese Taipei or even Korea.
I mentioned that nearly every TV we walk by downtown Taichung has been tuned to the World Baseball Classic. Not just these games, but a couple nights ago, for instance, the Japan-China game over the Japan Dome. On nearly every storefront window we walk by.
Even the televisions in the vans going back to the hotel. We were watching the games live from Japan. World Baseball Classic, huge in popularity over here in the Far East.
After a mound visit by Kong Min Ho to try and settle his starter, who's fallen again behind 1-0. Chen Yongji in the third baseman for Chinese Taipei, trying to advance to the second round of the Classic for the first time. They had just one WBC win when we got started. Swept through qualifying in November. Combined score of 35-0. 2 wins over New Zealand, another over the Philippines, just to earn this spot, and they have not looked back.
All these shots around the ballpark, and you just see nothing but unbridled joy. Everybody just absolutely loves being where they're at. This is really neat. There you go.
Two-one to Chen. Lifted to center. Chen just a few beats to his left. To the introduction for the right fielder John Jen-Ming. Interesting to see him in the starting lineup tonight against the left-handed arm for Korea. Young was huge for Chinese Taipei in that November qualifying. 6 for 11, has not seen as much playing time here in March.
He's just taking that stride and really solid approach against facing a left-handed pitcher, where he's just trying to work up through the middle and to the left side of the field. Pitching him away, and you got to swing away. There you go.
Knocked down by Kong. He'll have no play.
Third baseman was playing pretty close to the line. In fact, Zhang thinking originally it might be foul. but he makes contact with it. Kong does in fair territory, looking for the call, and it was fair. A really good pitch, but an even better job of hitting.
Pitch count at 30 for the Korean starter. All pitchers under a 65 pitch ceiling here in the first round. That'll go to 80 when we move on to the second round of competition, this World Baseball Classic. First pitch swinging. Gouger Gung, the catcher. Again, Chung Chanu camped underneath it. 2 away. The runners stay put. Gouger Gong in the 8th spot, and Guo Yen Wen combined to form a formidable bottom of the order in game 1 for Chinese Taipei. Together they went 3 for 8. And Joe, that's a theme you've been noticing really for all 4 teams in all 6 games throughout this WBC Pool B competition.
It seems like the 8 and 9 hitters obviously down there for a reason, but there have been a pretty fair amount of productivity in this competition out of the 8 and 9 spots, and I think a lot of it has to do with a pitcher just really bearing down on the names and the hitters in the 3, 4, 5 spots, and sometimes having that lapse in concentration when you're seeing the 8 and 9 guys have success.
Back up the middle. Son takes it. 2 stranded for Chinese Taipei after 1.5, still scoreless in Taiwan. Time for Joe McGrain's Emmy award-winning series, Part 6, Better Know Your Umpires.
Paul Emmel behind the plate. He's been more of a pitcher's umpire in the major leagues. Major League umpire Greg Gibson, Kinjiro Mori over at second base, and Trevor Grieve, the Canadian, over at third.
How would you assess our crew's performance through parts of 6 games this weekend?
I think they've done a nice job. Their strike zone has been very consistent.
And we'll stop there.
Well, hey, consistent's consistent, right? What did you think? Brevity is a word worth expounding upon or something?
Joe's series available on DVD and iTunes later this month. A rousing addition there, Joe McGrain. Well, Lee Dae-ho leads off this inning after he was left in the batter's box as Chung Kanu was thrown down trying to take third. On a line to center, Linja Schwen has beat on it.
Hit that ball pretty solidly, but I have to tell you, JB, there's nothing more frustrating. The big boys get paid to eat out of the 3 and 4 spot by driving in runs. And when they see those runs go by the wayside, and in the last inning, a base running error by Chung Kanu getting thrown out at third after stealing second, that becomes really a point of frustration for them.
Yao Schwing missing wide. The starter for Chinese Taipei is actually the older brother of Yang Dai-gang, outfielder on the roster and in the lineup. was well positioned on a few balls off the bat of the Korean hitters back in the first inning. Has already brought down a couple for his brother on the hill.
And they do kind of look like brothers out left field. Just wondering if his brother can help him out like he helped out his team in the last game, hitting a 3-run home run to the opposite field.
Kim takes the 2-1 for a called strike 2.
One brother's a lefty, one brother's a righty, and you know, oftentimes you'd think that they would be both-handed. One be a lefty and another be a lefty. I just got myself in an area that just sounds, there's just no way of making any sense of it.
How about a called strike 3 to bail you out?
Thank you, sir.
Strikeout for Yang Yao Swing.
Knee high, down and away, perfect spot. Kim not liking the call, thinking the ball was down, but very well framed by Gao. Is it right at the knees? Oh, yes. Right at the bottom of the knees. The strike zone has evolved over the years in the Major League rule book. Used to be from the top of the knees to the hollow of the knees. I know I don't want hollow knees anytime soon.
He faced a few more hollow knee hitters. Might have been able to extend that career a few more seasons.
Yeah. Or being able to throw it at the hollow. That's the idea. Cheese at the knees.
There's the first hit of the game for the Koreans. It comes from the center fielder Chun Chinu, and his first hit of the tournament as well.
Trying to get back to the strike zone. Yang, and just a fastball that just cuts to the middle of the plate. Kind of a, I'm not saying a batting practice swing, but just a nice, easy, well-balanced swing, single to left.
You've seen the dirt on the, there's a good look in the uniform of Kang Jung-ho, the third baseman. You know, in hindsight, that play down at third base, knocking that down, keeping it from rolling into the corner, grew pretty large. Ahead in the count, 2-0.
Great reminder here, and this is a catcher's job to be able to spot things quickly, mechanically. Gal coming out there, and he really kind of sat down on his back leg, Yang did, and when you do that, you get underneath the ball. And the whole idea is about getting out front, and he's already struck out the previous hitter on a knee-high fastball. See how he's underneath the ball goes up and away, and watch him just kind of shake his hand in frustration. That even feels like a bad delivery. So the key is to make that correction and get back down in the strike zone. Much better.
Hong Jung-min with plenty of room. Just a hit in the second for the Koreans, their first of the game, but we're scoreless going to the third. Who needs a travel app when you've got Section 316, right?
Chinese Taipei wanting to go to Tokyo.
Hoping to send the Koreans back to Seoul. We'll ask him to post yours a little bit later on, Joe, just so you can remember what time you have to check in.
Well, it is going to be a long flight, but this really has been a treat, and it's been a lot of fun. And just a great way to cap off the last game of this pool. The enthusiasm tonight, and we'll see it all night.
The Taiwanese have played at a very high level. Consider it 5 and now 6 games when you include the qualifying in November. On opening night, we hardly recognized the South Koreans.
Right.
But they have bounced back nicely.
You know, when we had mentioned it earlier that they came into into this pool with that outstanding WBC record, 14-5 now, and the team with the better record is Team Japan, which has already qualified for the next round. It was a very un-Korea-like performance, and the lift that Chinese Taipei got in Game 1 out of Chen Meng-Wang's starting performance was remarkable.
Backhanded by Sung. Long throw. Safe at first with a dive. The leadoff man for Chinese Taipei. Second infield hit for the Taiwanese and third overall.
Well, I like to say if it was the fastest way to get to first base by diving, Usain Bolt would be doing it at every finish line, but I think that was more about avoiding the tag on a throw being up the line.
And so for the second consecutive inning, the home team has a runner aboard. Joseph Chi walked, but got no further than second in the second inning. Two-hitter Lin Jishuen digs in.
And Yang can run over at first base. Let's see if he tries to draw a throw. Sometimes you have that one-way lead, and what is a one-way lead is when you get off a little bit further. The pitcher said, hey, that guy has a big lead, I'm going to throw over there. And it gives you an opportunity to look at his move, but a smart pitcher will not show his good move on a one-way lead.
Bunt popped up. Lee Ho on the run. Let's take a quick look around the Intercontinental Baseball Stadium. Playing much differently here on the back end of our trip than it did at the outset. 325 down the lines, 400 to straightaway center. But as you'll see momentarily, the flags completely calm, and they were blowing in at about 20-25 miles an hour from left field for the better part of our week, Joe.
Yeah, JB, we expected to have weather that was in the high 70s to low 80s, very muggy, and actually it had been in the low 50s and very cold, and was told it was a cold front coming in from Siberia. Yes, we're closer to Siberia than you think. No wind at all right now, the flags being completely limp. We talked about if there is a sweet spot in this ballpark, that runner at first base, Yang Dae Gong has actually found it right down the right field line. It carries better to right. I think it's carrying or playing more neutrally than it has in any one of these games in pool competition, and that's based on the fact that the wind's not blowing in from left as it has in the previous games.
Another check of first. We saw the first home run to left field in the daytime part of our doubleheader. Jonathan Scope leading the Dutch to victory. And with that win, they clinched their spot in the second round.
Yeah, and in game 1, Hwang Young-min, this hitter, hit a home run to the opposite field as well, and I was really impressed with his opposite field power. I thought Young, the runner on first base, it seemed to be more like a glancing blow off his bat, and the ball just kept carrying. But Hwang Young-min, the hitter at the plate, absolutely drove it to right field with the type of power where it looked like a left-handed hitter was swinging the bat. Five-time batting champion in the Taiwan Professional League.
So an updated pitch count there, and Chan Wan Lun now about 2/3 the way through his allotment of 65 pitches. Much like the Chinese Taipei staff, the Koreans have plenty of arms to work with here on the final night of Pool B competition. Yoon and Song, the only pitchers unavailable due to mandatory rest. Hong Jung-min pops it up to right. That's Lee Yong-kyu, 2 away. Chinese Taipei has had a runner aboard in every frame so far. unable to push one across. They're okay again with a low-scoring affair. They can take up to a 4-run loss and still punch their ticket to Tokyo.
Does that sound, it just flies in the face of convention. I know we've had all these different scenarios, and we were glad that it was able to be simplified in game 1 of this doubleheader today, with the Kingdom of the Netherlands advancing without having to break out the Rubik's Cube and figure it out. But you're right, it is a very unusual scenario. With Lean up at the plate, speaking of the ballpark, and he being more of a pull hitter, he's looking to get a little lift on this swing to left field. It's difficult to do because he's going to be pitched away by Chong, and Chong has that turnover changeup, which if you try to really lean on one, pardon the expression, it's going to be a ground ball to the shortstop.
Still going strong in game 6, huh, Joe?
Well, he took his shot right there and pulled right off of it.
Ide-Ho can't find it. The second baseman, Chung Kanu, not there in time. That should have ended the inning.
Would have been a heck of a play if he was able to come up with it. He had a long way to run, and even the second base playing the alignment, playing a pull hitter. That was his home run pitch. You see the pull swing, got behind it, got that back leg through it, and so he's just trying to reorient himself and going, man, I should have killed that one.
I was being more critical of the first baseman, Ide-Ho, who did not get a good break on it, and I think gave up.
Well, if there was a cheeseburger down there, he might have had a better break.
Perhaps displeased with his second baseman, Chung Kanu, being thrown out on the base paths a couple frames ago.
Well, he also had to hold Yang on over at first base.
That's a good point. Long way to go from that position. Level at 2-2 now to the cleanup hitting shortstop.
J.B. Lean has had 2 pitches to his liking. Look at the expression on his face. These are nitro zone pitches, but they've got just enough tail, and you see that lift and separate swing. He's going, those are the ones that I tattoo, and when a ball's coming from a left-handed pitcher to a righty who wants to pull the ball, he feels like he sees it that much longer, and he's missed 2 real fat pitches.
Doesn't miss that one. It's going to fall for a hit. Off with the pitch with 2 outs. Yang Dae-Gong is going to try to score from first, and he will. A harmless 2-out single from the cleanup man, and the Koreans botched it defensively.
Well, you go back to game 1 when we said the Koreans had really had some difficulty defensively. There's the 2 brothers congratulating each other, the left fielder and the starting pitcher. Lean gets another one, although it jams him a little bit into center field. And the third base coach really does a nice job. Here's Yang coming around and getting that come on, go ahead, because they did not really handle the ball cleanly in the middle of the field, and that was some fine third base coaching. Because Yang originally was going to pull the flaps up at third base.
So it's 1-0 on the scoreboard, but again to the Koreans it feels like 7-0. They need a 6-run victory. Scoring on that last play, give Lin Jie-Shung a single but no RBI E4, allowing Yang Dae-Gong to come around with the first run of the game.
You know, Lean really saw a lot of good pitches to hit. Kind of jammed himself a little bit. Sometimes you have that power swing, you get a little too greedy. He still was able to turn it into the hit. Chinese Taipei's leadoff hitter. Yang having some fun there in the dugout after getting that first tally on the board.
That gets through. Third hit of the inning for Chinese Taipei. With 2 outs, it continues.
JB, other than a couple of guys in the lineup, it's the type of hitting setup that's just going to pepper you to death. Really go with the pitch, not try to pull lefty. And just kind of taking what the pitcher is giving him. He knows if he tries to pull off the ball, he's likely to pop it up. He doesn't have power in his swing, so it's just popping and peppering the ball around like that. Continuing the inning, setting the table for someone else.
Long conversation here with Chan Wan-lun, the lefty starter. Will be allowed to continue for the moment. And a 3-flagger gets the wave going in the outfield. Here's Chen Young-ji, plays in the CPBL for the EDA Rhinos. That's the team that is reportedly on the verge of bringing Manny Ramirez overseas for the upcoming season.
And after you laid out all those consonants, when you said bringing Manny over, I would say WHY.
The Tai-Chung chop. Just about an hour into this one. Manny last seen at the major league level for a brief stint with the Tampa Bay Rays. Couldn't crack the show with the Oakland A's after serving a suspension. Two on, 2 out, already 1 across for Chinese Taipei in their third.
It's a little nitpicky now, but Kong, the catcher for Korea, is not very solid behind the plate. He boxes up a lot of balls. He has not caught a lot of balls cleanly, and I don't know if that's just part of his game or if he's just going through just a bit of a funk. But as far as catching the ball cleanly, I haven't seen a lot of it in this competition.
Crowd falls silent for just a moment. They'll rev back up as Chan Wan-lun gets ready. 2-2 to Chen, and it runs all the way out.
Let's see what happens here, because hitters do not 3-2-2 out. You have the merry-go-round starting. They do not like taking called thirds, and oftentimes they'll stretch that strike zone. You see it more often with 3-2 pitches of hitters going outside the strike zone at ball 4.
Runners off with the pitch, a strikeout to end it, but not before Chinese Taipei uses 3 hits to get on the board with a run that did not have to be, Joe. We invite you to gear up for the 13 World Baseball Classic at our online shop, worldbaseballclassic.com. Browse the largest online selection of official WBC merchandise, authentic jerseys, caps, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. Don't wait in line. Just visit worldbaseballclassic.com on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Done. Joe McGrain looks sharp in that polo that matches his eyes in our open.
Gee, Merry
Get one for
Christmas.
yourself at worldbaseballclassic.com. In fact, Joe will be autographing that very polo and sending it in to be authenticated and perhaps auctioned off.
Sure enough, and I hate to disappoint the JB Long fans out there, but those polos do not come in hazel.
Touche. Bottom of the third. Korea already chasing one, but again, they need a 6-run victory, so it's a lot more than that. 8-9-1 in their order due to face once again Yang Yao Schwing, who's worked 2 clean innings so far, although there's been a runner on in each.
He's done a nice job settling down and making that pitch when you have to make it. You see his delivery just kind of spinning off. We've seen him before where we did a little breakdown where he was underneath the ball, and you're going to have to be able to fix yourself or diagnose based on your feelings the changes in your delivery, and the real good ones can do it on the next pitch, and sometimes the also rans, it takes them 3 or 4 pitches to really fix themselves when that one delivery comes out of whack. It's like every good starter is really seeking that repeatable delivery, but somewhere in between that game it's going to come apart a little bit, and you're going to have to be your own pitching coach and be able to fix it. Let's see if he can do it here on this next pitch.
Dials back in. Count goes to 3-2.
Yeah, it really involves a couple of things, and just I know it sounds simple, but a deep breath and just kind of clearing your thoughts and just visualizing the glove and locking in on the glove. And you throw 3 pitches down and away to the catcher's mitt and you put yourself on video, and I guarantee you're going to be doing a lot of things mechanically right.
Down to third, Chen Yang-ji charging to get a good hop. 1 away. A reminder of what's at stake here. The Netherlands with a win in part 1 of our doubleheader over Australia, advanced to the 2nd round. Korea needs a 6-run win. As for Chinese Taipei, any victory will do to finish at 3-0 and atop the pool, or a narrow loss would also allow them to advance.
Korea coming into this Pool B competition as the highest ranked, and I was really impressed what I saw out of the Netherlands in a couple of the games when they had it going on, especially game 1 when they did beat Korea. Advancing into the next round, I don't care who they play, whether it's Cuba or Japan, they're going to be able to provide some challenges to the opposition if they play the way that they're capable of. Very athletic, power offensively, and good defense on the other side.
Memo to San Francisco Giants spring training. Hensley Mullins won't be coming back just yet. More business to attend to on this side of the world.
You know, that's the one thing that it's a little curious. Obviously, the Giants know what they're doing. They've won world championships 2 out of the last 3 years. Let their hitting coach venture off and go coach the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And the hitting coach is more of he's a psychiatrist working with a bunch of different hitters. And I think it's one of the tougher jobs, and oftentimes can be tougher than managing, because you've always got 1 or 2 hitters that are struggling that you're having to work with. Things are never perfect and smooth, and it really requires that constant level of communication between hitters and that reassurance. It's a difficult job at the major league level.
Kingdom of the Netherlands Federation team actually trained in Arizona before this event to accommodate their manager. Played some international teams and some local college teams at the spring training sites, so that Bam Bam, as he's known, could both handle his responsibilities with San Francisco and prepare his federation's squad.
Yeah, something tells me the Queen of the Kingdom of the Netherlands did not call him Bam Bam when she knighted him. He has been knighted by the Kingdom of the Netherlands.
Another chopper here. Again, Chen Yongji playing a sterling third base.
Chinese Taipei really looked good defensively in game one, and a lot had to do with the pitching performance of Chen Meng-Wang. He only struck out 2 men through 6 scoreless innings, but a lot of ground balls, and really had his defense playing very sharply, and it looks like they're up to their old tricks again.
Just brief respites of silence between cheers and chants and songs that can stretch for minutes at a time here at Intercontinental Baseball Stadium in Taichung.
It kind of catches you off guard. It's like, where did the quiet come from?
I was looking around to see if something happened.
Right. Maybe they're just listening in.
One 1-0 pitch, and it dotted him. And Eon-Q not impressed.
Well, no hitter likes to get hit. There's nothing behind this, and I've been talking about the mechanics of Yang Yo Schwinn in the early stages of this game. He's had a delivery that has been anything but repeatable. Watch him just come underneath the ball here, and you can see from his disappointment, and it's the same look that he gave when he threw a couple other pitches up and away. And obviously that one had to sting, and I don't think Eon-Q is interested in turning the other cheek, as they say.
Minden on the mound here as Yang regroups, and it's probably worth mentioning here. I know it's an old story, but it's part of the backstory between this meeting between these two teams. In the run-up to the World Baseball Classic, there was a bit of international espionage that we learned about in the local papers. Those associated with Chinese Taipei were caught posing as umpire trainees attempting to scout Korea and get a bit of inside information. A formal apology was issued. The Korean delegation told us that was accepted and they've moved beyond it, but in a moment of tension like that, I think it bears repeating.
Well, yeah, you're right, it does. Isn't it amazing? It's called scouting over in the United States. Whether you're looking through the knothole of a fence somewhere, trying to scour places and find players, find out the strengths and weaknesses of teams. That's why most teams employ advanced scouts. Just some of the cultural differences. And in our meetings, there's another one of those pitches where Yang was underneath the ball. It's going to require a quick little mechanical checkpoint by his catcher Gao. That was a very similar pitch to the one that hit Eon-Q. But in meeting with both of these teams, you got a sense that I'm not saying paranoid. That's not really the right kind of word. But in talking with Korea, it was very secretive when we were just trying to find out about their players, because we'd like to be able to tell all of you about them and what are their strengths, weaknesses, attributes, and tendencies. And you got almost like kind of a feeling that it was Reagan sitting down with Gorbachev in Reykjavik, Iceland. And in the United States, you throw the lineup card out there, and in a 3-game series who you're going to be facing, and there was some caginess about who was going to be pitching, and Team Korea not really wanting to say who was going to pitch, and obviously understand that's their right. Talking to Chinese Taipei, they were a little more loosey-goosey in the meetings, and their manager, longtime pitcher, known as a great forkballer in the Taiwanese Baseball League, I just think it's not being critical of Korea. I just think it's something that just makes another part of this World Baseball Classic with the different culture and customs interesting, unique, if you will.
Lee Sung-yap takes high and tight, and Joe, I wonder if that hit batter Lee Young-kyu, I know his feathers were ruffled, but it seems to have knocked the starter for Chinese Taipei off his game.
Well, and what has been repeatable about his delivery has been kind of that same fault, where he kind of sinks down on that back leg and everything is up and away to a right-handed hitter or in to a left-handed hitter, and that was the pitch that hit Lee Young-kyu that he was upset. And he is bleeding there, and I don't know if that's a blister or a cuticle problem, but that's going to be it.
Fine work by our local camera crew to catch that, as Yang Yao Schwing is done, cannot complete the third. Leaves 2 runners for the new Chinese Taipei arm, who we will introduce when we come back to Intercontinental Baseball Stadium. Wang Qingming, the new pitcher for Chinese Taipei, taking over for Yang Yao Schwing, the lefty starter who left with some kind of what appeared to be blister problem that had him bleeding pretty significantly as he exited the game.
Yeah, it could be a couple of things. Sometimes on a changeup, your index finger is going to have that nail, and you see that. I think that may even be on his ring finger. But I don't. Obviously, it's pretty clear cut that he did have some type of a blister type problem. I don't think it was affecting his delivery as much, because that was more of a, from the bottom up delivery wise, where he was coming out of his delivery. It certainly wasn't helping.
Big situation with 2 outs and 2 on here for the Koreans. Lee Sung-yap, their 3-hitter, their designated hitter, awaits the 1-1. It's a good swing on it, but pops it foul. Chen Yong-ji ends up making all 3 outs in the inning. The Koreans strand a pair, stuck on 0. We go to the 4th in Taiwan. 7-8-9 due up for Chinese Taipei, hoping to sweep Pool B and advance to round 2. We've got a 1-0 advantage on the strength of 5 hits. John Jen-ming, who singled his first time through, will lead off. On the hill, Chon Won-lun continues on for the Koreans. He begins this frame with 55 pitches on his count, so he's got 10 to work with.
Big breaking ball that we were mentioning earlier. He has not thrown very many of them tonight. That was a dandy. I'd throw it again. Yeah, it's such a feel pitch, and when you throw a real good one like that, you want to come back oftentimes and throw it again. He tries to, and he leaves it up. And that's what you fight when you throw a real good one. It just comes out beautifully. It comes right off the end of the fingertips, and you spin it, and you want to throw one better than that. You get greedy, and it ends up flattening out or staying up, hanging, or bouncing. Something just learned through experience.
John out in front of that one, and the count moves to 2-2. Driven to center. Chun Chunu in time. Just a big yard, Joe. Doesn't look like much, but even when you watch batting practice, no one's pumping him out of here.
It's a big yard, and you have those more diminutive guys, for lack of a better way of expressing it, not really feeling threatened that they're going to knock the ball out of the yard, so you challenge them and more in the middle of the plate. Good experienced pitchers know how to pitch according to the scoreboard and according to the ballpark. That was a real good example of it right there, not being worried about the long ball. A little breaking ball in there, get you a nice little fly ball out, get the leadoff hitter out.
Veteran catcher here for Chinese Taipei is the Asian rep for the IBAF Olympic reinstatement campaign. In addition to his duties as a player and a catcher on this squad.
It's quite a title.
Two, chopped to second. Chung Kanu puts it away.
We have the woodwind section and the trumpets and everything cranking up, and everyone taking a breather. They're changing the reeds in the mouthpieces, or what? Or putting the instruments down and picking up the thunder sticks.
9-hitter Guo Yen Wen 0 for 1. And Chan's done a great job making efficient use of those 10 pitches he began this inning with. Will hit his maximum allotment of 65 with this next toss. He'll be able to finish the batter regardless of how many pitches it takes. And his night will be done.
You know, sports fans in the States, they're loving a football, basketball, and sometimes saying baseball is too slow, and it is a big sport here in Asia.
Rope down the right field line. That's going to get into the corner. Lee Young-kyu over to get it. It's a stand-up 2-out double for the 9-hitter.
Lefty, that high leg kick, like the old Japanese home run champ Sadaharu Oh. Just lifts that front leg, yanks it right into the corner.
Third 2-out hit of the game for Chinese Taipei. They've had a runner at least aboard in every frame. Chan Wan-lun's night is done. 2 outs here in the top of the fourth. Already a 1-run lead for Chinese Taipei. Looking to add to their total. They'll have a runner at second base as we introduce the new pitcher for the Koreans, No Kyung-eun. His third appearance in as many games here in this Pool B. Joe likes to point out, no K, a bit of a misnomer for the right-handed reliever. Punched out 3 opposing hitters so far.
Let's see you working. Let's see what he's going to be able to do to Young at the top of the order here. Already his third at bat.
Reigning Pacific League All-Star sits in an 0-1 count.
Two good swings that have not been one of his favorites. A little out in front, timing a little off.
Healthy 2-0 lead at second base for Guo Yen Wen at the 2-out double. Chopper his way. That'll get through into center field. Guo around third. He will score easily. Back-to-back 2-out hits, and it's a 2-0 lead.
J.B. Young was all but buried in that at bat, and he gets a pitch more in the middle of the plate. His timing was all off, but he is able to get the top half of the ball, and you see this as it's going up the middle. It's usually that second bounce that has that accelerating bounce that goes through the infield. Almost looks like to the infielders that it is speeding up on that second bounce. Watch him get right above the ball, and then here's that second bounce, just finds another gear, and just enough to lead to Chinese Taipei's second run. Young has had his brother start this game for Chinese Taipei. He already has 2 hits tonight, had a 3-run home run, icing on the cake the other night.
Stoppage here is down at first. Yang Daigong, who has been sent sprawling back into first. Remove some clay from his wardrobe. Look what they've done with 2 outs tonight. 4 of their 7 hits, both of their runs. It's the difference between a team like Australia, who finishes 0-3 and just could not convert with runners in scoring position, and Chinese Taipei, that's well positioned to sweep the pool.
Well, you can see it in all of the games that Chinese Taipei has played. It really has been a home game for them. This has been the 10th man. They've played energized. It's been a lot of fun for them to watch. We also saw the best Taiwanese pitcher ever to come out of this country open up this tournament, Chen-Ming Wang, with 6 shutout beautiful innings to get things started in their win over Australia. A lot to like. We've seen the 2 rosin bags before, and yeah, both the umpires saying it's all right. We've seen the puff ball, the old Gaylord Perry puff ball, loading up the hand with real powdery rosin bag, and poof, in a cloud of smoke.
Strike 3 looking to end the 4th, but not before. Chinese Taipei tacks on. A couple of 2-out hits, 2-0 their lead. Back in Taiwan, and so far for Chinese Taipei, it's gone exactly according to plan. With a win, they finish at 3-0 in Pool B and advance as the 1 seed to the second round. Wang Qingmin, the 27-year-old right-hander, back for his second frame of work. Lee Dae-ho, the cleanup hitter, leading off the bottom of the 4th.
That's what you like. You like the guys with the thunder, either leading off the inning or coming up with no one on, with 2 outs.
Cutaways of the crowd assembled here, some 20,000 plus, standing room only, all the way foul pole to foul pole. You can get a sense of how much this win would mean for Chinese Taipei. But Joe, how about from the Korean side? For a group that expected to go all the way, for a group that's been to the semifinal round in both of the previous World Baseball Classics, to not get out of the first round?
It is tough to try to really figure out. But one thing that we did say right at the beginning, and throughout this tournament, just kind of handicapping all of the teams, that it was probably one of the better balanced pools. Australia just ran into a great starting pitching performance in game one by Chen-Ming Wang, but a very, very evenly balanced pool and showing a lot of depth. And the fact that Korea comes in ranked #1, that's all very well and good, but they're going up against a team that can come out of this undefeated.
Hit well to center. And just Schwen there. You can point out that South Korea is without major leaguers like Sin-Soo Choo, and also big-time Dodgers offseason signee Ryu Hyun-jin. But I think every team in the World Baseball Classic, including in this pool, could play that game.
Right. South Korea made a lot of changes to their team, 7 changes, 6 of them to their pitching staff, and really doing everything they can to try to bolster their personnel. I know Sin-Soo Choo would look great in a Korean uniform. He's a professional run producer in MLB.
Some loud contact here to begin the bottom of the 4th. Lee Dae-ho flew out to center for a second time, but Kim has his first hit.
Just a beautiful, majestic swing, very good balance, middle away, no intent other than just to ride right with it. Absolutely textbook. That's the type of swing that you try to manufacture in batting practice and take into the game. Good example of that.
Korean left fielder has a hit in each contest here in Pool B and sets the table for Chun Shin-woo. Chinese Taipei could say that they might be fortified by the addition of someone like Wei Yin-chen, the only active Taiwanese major league pitcher. He passed on this event in order to maximize time with his newborn son while preparing for the upcoming season. How'd you like to go back-to-back with Chen-Ming Wang and Chen?
Yep, be an awful formidable duo, but one thing in our meetings with Chinese Taipei, their coaches talked about how their pitching staff they thought was talented, but not really used to the pressure, and they were really leaning on the leadership of Chen-Ming Wang, and with that performance he did provide that, and I think it really went a long way into calming these guys down.
That falls in right. The Koreans have something going with one out in the 4th.
Had a little bit of a left-right combination. First by Kim and then Chun. Left-hander going to left and the right-hander going to right.
Jia Chung-hung down in the Chinese Taipei dugout. Second WBC for him, also in 2006. Mentioned Wei Yin-chen passing on this event as you get a look at the Chinese Taipei bullpen. Did want to point out that in his absence he made a sizable scholarship donation to the development of Taiwanese baseball, and you can see what financial support in addition to the enthusiasm here, that combination could mean the future of the sport in this country. For each inning that Chen throws for the Orioles this season, 1,000 new Taiwanese dollars, and for each strikeout, 500 new Taiwanese dollars. Wang off the hill to field his position, takes the out at first. Both runners move up a bag, and they'll be at second and third with 2 away.
Very generous donation, and important to point out that to play this game well and to really develop, you have to get started. You have to get started young, It's not something that you can just, pick up in your teens and be proficient with. It has to be something you really enjoy, a labor of love, and then also a commitment at a very young age. That's why we've seen baseball grow so well internationally over the years, to where the WBC has expanded and grown to what it is now. And when you think about it in its infancy, it's come a long way.
For our American audience, those conversions on the donation rates for Chen: $34 for each inning he works, $17 for each punch. Wish him all the health and a successful season, and appreciate the financial benefit that it could have to members and aspiring baseball players of this community. 8-hitter batting here for the Koreans, representing the go-ahead run.
Wish he hadn't mentioned the Taiwanese dollar conversion rate. That just completely messed up the per diem that our producer Mike Sparks from Canada was going to be turning in.
Appreciate the work that Mike has done this week, along with our statistician Mitch Smith, graphics Jeff Whipple, font coordinator Adam Jupiter. Some other names will pass along as the night goes on, as we wrap up Pool B competition here at Intercontinental Baseball Stadium. We've had a great week, not only on the air, but some fun off it as well. What a crew to travel with. It's been our pleasure. Tim Morrissey, we'll get to you as well. And we appreciate our local crew as well, as we get a stoppage here. And Ryu Jung-il out of the Korean dugout to have a word, perhaps going to his bench in the 9-hole. Taipei can use this opportunity to converse with their pitcher as well. It does look like Kim Tae-gun is coming off the bench to hit in the 9 spot in place of Sung.
And Paul Emmel having a breezy colloquial chat with the Korean interpreter and pitching coach.
Joe, it feels like we've just hit a bit of a lull here. Even the home crowd seems to have brought it down a couple of notches. If Korea can strike here, things could get interesting in the later innings.
Just don't know how many opportunities they're going to have like this. They need one of those 1 swing 4 runs type deal here. And those are the tough pitches right there to take out of the ballpark. And you have to obviously look at playing odds if you're Wang Qingming, and think about taking your chances down and away, staying out of an area where this hitter could get some lift and get it up in the air and get it out of here and really kind of change the complexion of things real quickly.
Man at the plate had 3 home runs in the 09 World Baseball Classic. Falling behind 0-2 here. Couple of hits to his credit already, 1 for 4 in game 1, then appeared in a pinch hitting role in game 2 for the Koreans and reached in that attempt. Kim down at 3rd, Chun at 2nd, Kong at 1st. They're loaded with 2 outs and 2 strikes. Wong brings the 0-2. Challenge pitch up in the zone, and Kim missed it. Lin calling everyone off. No damage. Despite 2 hits, the Koreans strand 3. As we put the finishing touches on Pool B competition, a look at what is ahead in Pool A. Japan and Cuba have both punched their ticket to the next round. Now they play for seeding. Check WorldBaseballClassic.com for all the information and the start times in your area. A look at the Pool A standings. Really a good showing by Barry Larkin and Brazil. The 0-2 mark doesn't show what they accomplished.
They had a chance to upset Japan. They were leading until late into the 8th inning. Japan took the lead. They were also played Cuba close as well. So some congratulations in order for what Barry Larkin has been able to do to further develop Team Brazil.
Boy, how about a modified elimination between Japan, Cuba, the Dutch roster, largely composed of major league talent, and either this Chinese Taipei side or perhaps the Koreans, 2-time semifinalists if they can rally. That will be must-see stuff. No back to the hill. He turns 29 next week. He falls behind Hung Jung-min, 3-0.
Think he's going to be picking a pitch to lean on here. Wasn't getting it.
The leadoff man aboard in Chinese Taipei, only on top 2-0. Although that's a comfortable cushion when you consider the built-in run advantage they have in the differential. Worth pointing out, though, they've had at least one aboard in all 5 frames now. Virtually everyone available for the Koreans at the start of play today, and they will not shy away from their bullpen, which was phenomenal a night ago against Australia. 5 shutout innings, scattering 4 hits and punching out 7 to make this game meaningful.
And in the first game and playing the Kingdom of the Netherlands, they really saw all of the talents that the Dutch put on display. Yeah, tremendous athleticism, great defense, top to bottom hitting, and of course they've advanced to the next round. Things right now looking pretty good for Chinese Taipei.
Driven to left, hooking foul, and it'll become a souvenir.
Yeah, Lean's timing has been just a bit off. I mentioned before that he has that pull swing. He has had some good pitches to hit tonight. He had a single the last time up, but it's kind of a glancing blow off the bat. A little Texas leaguer or humpback liner. I guess you can't say Texas leaguer this far from Texas, but you get the idea.
The dirt kept in front by Kong. $23,431, the largest crowd ever to witness a Taiwanese baseball game.
Isn't that something?
And they sound like 46,000.
Yes, they do. There's no sitting on the hands.
Cleanup hitter awaits the 1-2. Got him on the outside corner.
Perfect location, never looked like a strike. And to lean, he was thinking that was well off the plate, and watch the good late tailing action as it comes back. Beautifully framed by the catcher Kahn. Sitting on the outside edge. And that's in that gray area where only a pitcher and an umpire knows it's a strike.
Nose Knight finishes with the K. We'll introduce the new Korean pitcher when we come back to Taiwan. With Chinese Taipei's left-handed DH due up, the Koreans go to their bullpen for the lefty. Park Hee-seo, the 29-year-old, works back-to-back nights after going an inning and a third about 24 hours ago, allowing a hit and striking out two. He's back on the hill.
Seeing some left-handers tonight. I like it.
Koreans have yet to get Joe Sichi out tonight. He walked in the second, singled in the third.
Park was dominant in the Korean Baseball League in 2012. 8-1 record with a 1.32 earned run average. That's good.
Not his best to first. If you're looking for help with your scorecard, you're not going to get it in this yard. Some very attentive fans, but they don't keep book the way we do in the States.
Well, that's a good thing. It's different, it's fun, and they have to be having a blast looking at the possibility of Chinese Taipei going through this pool undefeated, going on to the next round.
The 1-1. In on the hands, popped up. Hawk's going to clear out of the way for Kong at third. Out of town scoreboard. China a winner over Brazil today. Well, let's revisit Japan and Pool A with the updated standings to reflect that win for the Chinese. And again, both Japan and Cuba have already advanced with the 2-0 mark.
We mentioned the connections of Barry Larkin and Team Brazil. John McLaren, former Major League manager and longtime coach for Lou Piniella with the Seattle Mariners, coaching Team China. And another former manager, Art Howe, with John McLaren on Team China, along with Bruce Hurst, former Major League pitcher, and a good one.
Songs and chants just feel like they're on loop for every hitter, but they're actually specifically tailored. If you listen closely, you can hear the name of the batter at the conclusion of each round. 1-1, crushed. But that's not the part of the yard where it carries. Chen Yongji got underneath it, comes up empty. But Chinese Taipei on top by 2. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the World Baseball Classic, Inc. and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Although if you can disseminate the accounts and descriptions of my partner Joe McGrain, more power to you. Doing better than I.
We're having fun, I'll tell you. It's been a great trip. You can see in the enthusiasm of this crowd, this anticipated game, and of course right on cue when we're talking about that, it's deadly silence.
It's more of a golf strategy when the pitcher is on the hill, and then just all out ballistic when they're at the plate. It's worth pointing out, though, as the Koreans come to bat here in the 5th inning, again, they need to win and win by 6 or more to secure their spot in Japan in round 2. But since they're the home team and we're playing normal baseball rules, Joe, they actually need to win by 6 or more in 8 innings.
That's what makes it even more unusual, and just based on the the format and all the different particulars, I've never seen a scenario unfold that way at all, ever.
Just to spell that out a little further, as the home team, they wouldn't need to bat in their bottom of the 9th inning. So let's just say they rally. Let's say they're up 6-2 after 8. They lose. It's over. They may win on the scoreboard, but they won't get a chance to tack on in the home half of the 9th. And Chinese Taipei, they can take a victory lap in their half of the 9th inning.
Take a victory lap, but the game will continue to be played out.
Getting to be now or never time for Lee Young-kyu, the leadoff man. And the South Koreans right back to the mound. Wang Qingming fielding his position.
Lee Young-kyu was already a little bit upset, ticked off after being hit the last time, and he just completely stopped running, held the bat in his hand, and it doesn't look good when you're down. I mean, he stopped as soon as he turned right. It did not look good.
Chung Kanu now has walked both times. Saw the stolen base there, but he was also the man thrown out back in the 1st inning at 3rd base with his cleanup hitter at the dish. Struck out against Yu Darvish to end the game at Dodger Stadium back in 2009. His quote this week: "I don't have any fond memories of '09." And I imagine he's going to flush 13 too if things don't turn around in a hurry.
Well, you're right. It is getting late, and from the standpoint that they need to score 8 runs here, and we said this is not the ballpark that's conducive to that.
But an opening.
Haven't seen many of those for Chinese Taipei. They've been so sharp defensively, and that started in the very first game. A lot of ground balls racked up by Chen Meng-wang. That's not necessarily his fault there. He got an ugly hop coming, not off the seam, but right before the grass. You see him take a glance there. That was not a tailor-made hop there, but he will get the E. And sometimes you just have to wear it.
Designated hitter Lee Sung-yap now representing the tying run.
And Yap has some pop, some good power.
Great pitch in, start with strike one.
And some bat speed as well, and he was really going for it.
Now, Joe, I pointed out a couple of times now that Chinese Taipei has had a runner aboard in every frame. Same can be said of the Koreans, just have not cashed in.
Well,
our next 1, 2, 3 inning will be our first.
Yep, and they know that they have a tall assignment.
Tough to beat those two offerings to start from Wang Qinming.
Firm pitches on both sides of the plate, in and then going away there and away from the power of Yap.
Now sets up way outside. Check to Chung down at first base. Here's the 1-2 to center. Lin Jishuen just in front of the track.
Yap with those hands well out in front of his body, kind of brings him into that launch mode, and pretty well struck. And we talked about what kind of offense that Korea is going to need to have to generate tonight. A pretty firm line drive, almost to the warning track, well struck. And really an indication as to how big this ballpark is played. Speaking of big,
I think you mean the situation, or not.
and the hitter at the plate, Lee Ho. Big fella's got some pop, who has popped out twice to the center fielder.
Tell you, Joe, you bring your DH and your first baseman to the plate in the 5th, representing the tying run. Something must come of this if Korea is to survive and advance. Wang setting a very deliberate pace. Caught the corner. Pretty circuitous route back to the batter's box there for Lee Ho.
Yeah, but you're right, JB. You do like to see your pitchers be a little bit more authoritative, get it, throw it a little quicker. And really, based on the scenario that you have outlined a couple of times, there's no real need to nibble. You need to be more aggressive in the strike zone. One of the easiest ways that you can get a team back into the ball game is sprinkle in a couple of walks, and all of a sudden, boom, someone hits the ball out of the yard.
Two strikes now. The crowd, after a brief lull, is back into it. They'd like nothing more than to punch out the cleanup hitter and hang another 0 in the 5th.
Those two seem to be getting along rather well down there in the corner, picking up all of those souvenirs and distributing them to some happy fans.
Finally the 2-2. And a throw down to first. Young back in safely.
Now time to get back into the strike zone. Make Ideho hit. You just stay out of these scenarios where if you're Chinese Taipei, where one swing can really make a big difference.
With the runner off, that's heading towards the right center field gap. A sliding effort from John Jin-Ming comes up empty. The Koreans have a play at the plate, and he's out. Gouger Gong had it sealed, and he shows the ball.
Boy, you talk about just building a house of bricks and blocking the plate completely. Never got there.
Chinese Taipei can afford to lose by as many as 4 tonight and still advance. And Joe, their catcher, is still giving them plays like this.
Just a beautiful throw, and you talk about just blocking the plate to where the runner never even got there. Just pretty to watch. Used that shin guard and in classic fashion completely took the plate away. Chung Kanu not even getting close to the dish. So even when Korea tries to get on the board, you can understand their coach trying to send them and just try to get some points going. The plate completely taken away.
Just a bit of context as we get going here in the 6th. The 2-0 lead for Chinese Taipei, but the Koreans have now had a runner thrown out at third with their cleanup hitter at the plate, and at the plate after their cleanup hitter delivered a 2-out knock. Tapper back to the mound. Puck underhands to first. So with 2 outs in the 6th. Guo Yan-Wen will bat in the 9th spot. Lefty on lefty matchup with Park Hee-soo. Guo grounded out to shortstop, doubled in the 4th and scored.
it's not like Chinese Taipei can smell a victory. They've been doing this from the very first pitch. Got here early. A lot of enthusiasm. Things looking good for them right now.
Caught the corner. Park's just been living out there against Guo Yanwen.
A pitcher that can command down and away, especially lefty-lefty. It's really about increasing your odds. Well, Chinese Taipei left-handers have really done a good job in this pool of really hanging in there and just taking the ball the other way. See the attempt at that. Much more difficult to inside out it when it's right around waist high.
Su wants a new baseball. He's retired 4 straight since coming on in relief. Middle of the 5th inning. Full count pitch to the 9-hitter and got him waving. His first strikeout and the first 1-2-3 inning of our game. To the bottom of the 6th. Plenty of hitting for Chinese Taipei. Not as many runs as they might like, but again, they're playing with what amounts to at least a 5, more likely a 6-run cushion because of run differential here in Pool B. Koreans unable to push one across despite 4 hits. Pitcher for Chinese Taipei, making his first appearance, Luo Qinglong.
Boy, and he gave it the old college try with the Colorado Rockies signing for a $1.4 million bonus as a 16-year-old back in 2001. Pitched in their system for 10 years, making it as high as AAA in 2010. He got really close. Those right-handers that stands very tall over the pitching rubber, and with that over-the-top delivery, really likes to throw it right down the mound, throw it downhill.
Luo, one of the few additions to this Chinese Taipei roster since they went 3-0 in November qualifying by a combined total of 35-0. A few bats at the top. Another arm or 2 in the bullpen, and Chiming Wong doesn't hurt either. But largely the same group we saw in November. Homegrown talent. Largely based here in the Chinese Professional Baseball League. Luo pitches for the Unit President 7-Eleven Lions, one of Joe McGrain's favorite teams.
Yeah, a lot of 7-Elevens around town featured prominently, and they're to be congratulated for sponsoring that league.
Not a bad start to his WBC debut.
Got him eyeballing a down and in fastball on the other side of the plate, although the catcher was sitting up more towards the middle of the plate. Reached for it a little bit, but a good pitch.
New responsible for half of the Korean hits tonight. newly 27 years old, and he takes a called strike one. Time granted by our home plate umpire Paul Emmel from the United States. Peel down to first. No, he did not. Right now, the Chinese Taipei bullpen continuing what they started Sunday against the Netherlands, allowing just one hit in 7 2/3 scoreless innings of work. Wong and Luo picking it up today.
That is the other Wong, not the Chen-Ming Wong, who will have his pitch count extended if Chinese Taipei can advance into the next round, and it's looking good for them.
Limit goes from 65 to the 80 in the second round, 95 in the semis and finals. I look forward to watching his next start. Assuming that Chinese Taipei is able to close this out and advance.
Boy, he was really economical with his pitches, throwing 6 shutout innings.
Yang Daigong has out number 2. Imagine he'll have quite a few eyes on that start in the Tokyo Dome if and when he makes it. A chance to audition for a spot on a major league roster after things didn't go too smoothly for him last year with the Washington Nationals. Pool C coverage begins Thursday in Puerto Rico. The Dominicans, the host nation, Spain, and Venezuela. Spain, one of our fall qualifiers. The field expanded this year in the World Baseball Classic to include qualifying for the first time. Great backhand at shortstop by Lin Zhisheng. Not nearly in time to get Chun at first base.
Well, if the third baseman doesn't get it, there wasn't any way Lin was going to be able to turn that into an out. You see how deep he was and took a couple of extra steps. Difficult play to make.
Kang Jung-ho down at first, and a stoppage here as it looks like Korea might be going to its bench for a pinch hitter. And it's Kim Song-soo taking over in the 8th spot with 2 outs and a runner aboard. Oh, excuse me. It's going to be Kim in the on-deck circle, but no pinch hitter yet. Announcement was made over the PA, and I followed it. But it's Kang Min-ho, the catcher.
You know, I think what the deal was there, JB, is with 2 outs in that ground ball, Kang Min-ho may have been putting on his shin guards and had to take them off quickly to come to the plate. May have been getting ready to go back behind the plate.
Very good, thank you.
Got to have a little more confidence in your guys and not be putting on. You're going to be the on-deck hitter with 2 outs, putting on your catching gear, assuming that the guy is going to make an out.
Finished after that 1-1 down and in. Lo Ching-long brings the 1-2. Pop back of first. Pong out. Guo Yan-wen over, and it falls up against the fence.
You know, the ball girl down the third base line seems to be a little more rangy than the one down the first base line. Just another one of those little games within the games here. As an analyst, you have to watch the whole field. You understand that, JB.
I'm just wondering if they were part of your scouting packet that you've been sharing with us throughout the past 6 days.
Try to get as much information as you can. Just like the Chinese Taipei coaching staff, things looking pretty good for them.
Got him swinging. 2 strikeouts out of the bullpen for Luo Qinglong. Chinese Taipei has trailed for exactly 1 inning of this entire WBC, including qualifying. Chinese Taipei got a tally in the 3rd, another in the 4th. 2 runs on 7 hits and a Korean air. Here's their in-game box score. We're at the top of the lineup due in the 7th.
Spreading around those 7 hits, and of course, things looking very favorable to them. Young with 2 hits, also having a 3-run home run in the previous game, so he's been swinging a pretty hot bat out of the leadoff spot, and that helps pep up the rest of the lineup.
Song Sun Lak turned 32 a couple of days ago, makes his 3rd appearance in as many days. Two-thirds of an inning in game 1, allowed a hit and an earned run. 2/3 of an inning in game 2, allowed a hit. And the leadoff man is 2 for 3. I know it's subtle, but I think Yang Daigong is one of their favorites. I mean, they are loud and proud for every single one of their Taiwanese hitters, but I'd say number 1 and number 23 tend to rile them up just a little bit more.
Seems to be their fashion plate. He's their leadoff hitter. Speedy guy, plays with a lot of energy, a lot of passion. See how someone like that would be very popular. Had his brother as the starting pitcher in today's game, the left-hander. Left with some type of blister earlier in the ball game.
At least 1 hit in all 3 appearances in this Pool B competition for Yang Daigong. Has scored a run in every game as well. And he'll take his base. Care for another look at his home run, Joe, from the game against the Netherlands?
Why not? It looked like a glancing blow off the bat, a 3-run home run. But with that bat speed, pretty much put the icing on the cake against that 8-3 victory against the Netherlands. And so many positives, and it started from the first pitch that Chen-Meng Wang threw to start Pool B of this competition, the Chinese Taipei.
Aboard for the 3rd time, and off with that pitch. You'll have to return as it's sliced foul. Top 5 hitters in the Chinese Taipei lineup have all reached safely tonight. They've given us no sign to believe anything but the fact that they are the best team in this pool and are more than capable of going 3-0.
Well, you get a good starting pitching performance in game 1, and it just kind of gives the rest of the team confidence. That's why Well, you have those #1 starters. It's called Wen Day. And I thought Chen Ming Wang not only pitching for Chinese Taipei, but he's had so much success in the major leagues and obviously quite a figure here in Taiwan, and been all smiles here lately. But just given the fact that he had only 65 pitches to work with, having a little chit chat with Barry Weinberg, longtime trainer of the Oakland Athletics and St. Louis Cardinals, helping out Chinese Taipei.
Lee Ho sets up the roadblock in front of first base. Lin Jishuen is retired.
I think for Chen Ming Wang, he said these last couple of years that have been very frustrating for him, trying to come back from injuries, and I think he's being heavily scouted here now. He's released by the Nationals, and as things continue to progress, will be pitching in Pool B with an extended pitch count, and you wonder if that is going to propel him forward and back to the major leagues, if that's what he's interested in.
He'll turn 33 years old at the end of this month. And considering some of those injury-shortened seasons, you would think still plenty of bullets left in that chamber.
Well, also looking from the standpoint that he had that patented sinker back, which I think was
that's the best sign.
He's never been a guy that's going to rack up a lot of strikeouts, but he's going to, with the good late movement on his sinker, he's going to keep it off the barrel of the bat. And he did against these very same heavily favored Koreans.
Runner in scoring position for Peng Jung-min. A walk his last time through, and Joe, this has the feeling of an opportunity to deliver the dagger. I'm not sure that Korea can come back, and they need a 6-run win or more with 2 at-bats remaining to build that advantage.
Yeah, everyone's pretty happy about how things are going now.
It's the most heavily attended baseball game in the history of Taiwan. It'll certainly be one of, if not the biggest signature wins, and will also shake up eventually the IBAF World Rankings. These are a couple of top 5 teams. We had 4 top 10 teams here in Pool B at the start of competition. Two-one to Peng. The shortstop, Kim Sung-soo, has out number 2. $23,431.
Yeah, look at the bottom of that graphic. The largest crowd, as you already mentioned, JB, in Taiwan baseball history. What a great story that is. WBC alive and well here in Taiwan.
Dancing down the line at third, Young.
And the home team looking to get through this pool and go on to Japan undefeated.
They didn't just turn out for Pool B competition. They were there every step of the way in qualifying, much the same way. Had potential for Chinese Taipei in the 7th. Quickly shut down. Time to stretch. Korea. Time to rally. The outs are running low for the South Koreans, the 2-time semifinalists, the most experienced team in this World Baseball Classic field. So far scoreless as they come to bat in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, I don't care how you slice up that starting lineup and look at that in-game box. If you're not putting points on the board, it's difficult to look good, JB.
Song Soo was 1 for 1 as a pinch hitter last night. Taking over at shortstop here in the middle innings. Again, South Korea needs to win by 6 or more to secure their spot for certain in the second round. Right now they trail 2, and keep in mind they're the home team, so they really have to accomplish that feat before we're done with the 8th, because even if they take the lead, by baseball rules, just pointing this thing out normally, they won't get to hit in their 9th. Lineup will turn over now against Luo Ching-long.
I think the idea now, if you're Chinese Taipei and for Luo, is just to really attack the strike zone and not try to get overly tricky.
Again, pressing the inside corner. Again to second base, Guo Yen-wen, 2 up, 2 down. Koreans have had at least a base runner in every frame thus far. Nothing to show for it with 2 outs in the 7th. Part of the reason is, even though they've had base runners, Joe, if you had to put the leadoff man aboard in any inning.
It's usually where the big innings start. A little leadoff walk, leadoff man getting on. That's why one of the tenets of pitching, a couple of them, first pitch strikes, get the leadoff man out. Shoots a lot of holes in would-be rallies.
Misses that one, but he's been one of the regulars on the base pass twice via the walk. Reached on an error as well. Still 0 for the tournament, but he's found his way aboard. Facing Luo with 2 outs. Shallow center, Lin Just-Swen charging, and there's the first 1, 2, 3 for the Chinese Taipei staff. After 7, Chinese Taipei 2, Korea nothing. Well, heads up Phoenix. Pool D coverage begins Thursday. Canada, Italy, Mexico, and the United States. I saw the Canadians advance in Regensburg in November qualifying, September qualifying, I should say. And I think the standard to meet has been set here in Taiwan. Let's pack those places. Represent American baseball the way that the Taiwanese have done here in Taichung.
Yeah, remember back in 2009 where USA was playing Team Canada at the Rogers Center. And the place was packed, a lot of that energy. Yeah, certainly not this wall-to-wall energy that we have seen tonight, the biggest baseball crowd in Taiwan history here. That's been really neat to see. And of course, the home team is looking like they might be going home happy.
Sharply passed short. A leadoff hit for the pinch hitter, Lin Hong-yu.
Well, they just keep coming at Korea, hanging breaking ball in the middle of the plate. Hey, he just comes off the bench, gets a hit, gets pinch run for. Short evening, enjoys it.
So I mentioned the previous half inning that Korea had yet to put a leadoff man aboard. 5 times Chinese Taipei has done it in 18 trips to the plate. Chen Yongji, first pitch swinging. Got one. Joe, if it's all right with you, I'll take this moment to thank our fabulous crew, both locally based and traveling over from North America to make this production possible. It all starts with our producer, Mike Sparks, Mitch Smith up here in the booth keeping us company, Jeff Whipple, Adam Jupiter, Tim Morrissey, just to name a few, CJ Botita, our MLB Network liaison. Fred Clow, designated fan of many hats.
Yeah, we have definitely seen Fred wear several different hats.
Can't question Fred's allegiance because he doesn't have the answer.
That crew, you mentioned Morrissey, Mr. Whipple. A lot of people are thinking it's a celebrity studded bunch here,
and they would be correct. John Jen Ming, the left-handed swinging Chinese Taipei right fielder, hit in the second, a couple of fly ball outs in the fourth and sixth. Lefty on lefty matchup. Count stands at 1-2. So 2 down now in the 8th. A runner still at first base.
Breaking ball that just kept sweeping further and further away, and an off-balance swing, and down to one knee concession there. Needed a longer bat. Maybe an oar.
Has to feel good as a pitcher when you not only strike someone out, but you make him take a knee in the process.
Right. In complete command.
Runner off with that pitch. Throw down to second in plenty of time. And that's how the top of the 8th ends. Korea coming to bat in their half. They need to find a way to come up with 8. Chinese Taipei can wrap it up right here, and they send Hung-Chi Kuo to the mound, or as he's known locally, Guo Hongzhi. See what he's done so far in this 13 WBC. Became the 4th ever Taiwanese major leaguer when he debuted with the Dodgers in '05.
Got that gun, fired it up at 93 right there. That had some giddy up on it.
And that's been a soft gun throughout the week.
Yes, it has.
Wow. Yup. Called strike 2.
That looks firm.
Towards left center. Linja Swen on the run. That'll hop the wall. How about that for 0-2 hitting?
Boy, after 2 just beautifully located pitches, staying right with it. Didn't really look like a super hard leverage swing, but got great carry on it. Give him a lot of credit.
Lead-up man Ide Ho stepping in. Joe, I'm going to do my best to spell this out one more time. Feel free to chip in, but the goal for Korea is to win by 6 or more. That's the run differential they need to advance to the second round. And since they are the home team, they're not going to get a chance to bat in their half of the ninth unless they build that advantage right now. To center field, a single his last time that nearly drove in a runner from first base, but Chung Kanu was thrown out at the plate and Korea remains scoreless. Pretty impressive work by the Chinese Taipei bullpen, working on their 16th inning of work in this tournament so far. Just 1 run allowed. That one got away from Gao. And Lee Sung Yap, knowing that his run is essentially meaningless, still takes the extra base. You take this one, Joe.
Well, of course, the Netherlands on to the second round. I think that's going to be a very scary team, and it's not looking good for Korea at this point. Chinese Taipei looking to go undefeated. And a lot of that other stuff and mumbo jumbo is self-explanatory, is it not?
I'm just happy to have some help. I feel a bit foolish trying to explain why Korea has to finish this inning up 8-2. That'll help. Finally, a run across as Lee Dae-ho delivers his second hit of the game. Korea is on the board.
And of course, because if they were to, do this in the ninth inning and be down 2-0 and score 3 runs, then the game's over with. It is walk-off fashion, so they have to score all of their runs now, and they've gotten their first run on the board on a little jam shot breaking ball. And you really get the feeling that Hung Chi-Kuo, with his success in the major leagues and the success that Chen-Ming Wong has had in the major leagues as well, that this is a real neat thing for them to come back and pitch for their country here in Taiwan, and for Kuo to be on the hill and a chance to really close this game out right here with 3 more outs.
Would that not be the most anticlimactic walk-off win in the bottom of the ninth inning if Korea were to rally?
It is the reverse walk-off, is it not? It is the moonwalk.
Good spot there. The RBI single by Lee Dae-ho. The streak of 14 consecutive scoreless innings for the Chinese Taipei bullpen is snapped. And no sooner did Korea get its first leadoff base runner in this game, with the first extra base hit of this game, that they then got their first run of this game. Funny how that formula seems to work out so well so often.
I know Kuo has given up a run, but that fastball looks really firm tonight.
Mike Wong, currently a free agent, demonstrating his stuff on the world stage. Here's the 1-2.
I think
some
what the
disputes here.
Korean manager is arguing about catcher's interference if he made contact with the catcher's glove. He's trying to get a catcher's interference call. And I can read lips well enough. Paul Emmel saying, hey, go away, go away.
Conversation challenging enough through a translator without adding parties to the mix.
Yeah, it looked like the bat was clear of the catcher's glove.
You think it was the ball hitting the heel that turned the mitt in that direction?
It's kind of hard to argue through a third party, isn't it? In that type of situation. Especially in a baseball argument type venue where guys go nose to nose, and I think the interpreter would have to bear the brunt of that.
Need Vince Scully to translate.
Another one of his many outstanding talents.
Cam continues to get a piece. Former KBO batting champion back in 2008, trying to keep the Korean hopes alive in a 2-strike count. Tried to check his swing as well. They ring him up down at third. Trevor Grieve of Canada says he went around.
Paul has looked real good tonight. And Paul Emmel asking for help from the umpire from Canada, Trevor Grieve, and getting the call. And I think Trevor got that one right. Good call.
So now a double play would send Chinese Taipei to the second round for the first time.
Well, you get short series, you get a great pitching performance from a guy who has had a lot of success overseas, meaning Major League Baseball. And we'll get an extended boost in his pitch count in the next round. Got a guy like Kuo who looks very good tonight with a lot of big game experience as well. And a lineup that was really stringing at bats together and playing good defense out in the field as well.
Liner to second. The relay got stuck in the glove, or that might have been it.
I think he just kind of got it caught in the webbing. Some of these infielders have open webbed gloves, and you got to like kind of tear it out of there. It was stung pretty well. I think he was just having a difficult time finding the handle.
Kang Jung-ho has to keep it alive for the South Koreans. Their first run in here in the 8th inning. RBI single off the bat of Lee Dae-ho. Still down at first base with 2 down.
Oops.
Indeed. Yang Dae-gong didn't look at it for long. Korea takes the lead.
Well, I was talking about how well Kuo was looking, and that fastball starting across the plate and just drifting in and into the barrel. And boy, did it ever get quiet.
We talked about the irony of a potential walk-off win in the 9th inning. Not much difference here, Joe. The Koreans have taken the lead, but again, they need to finish this inning with a 6-run advantage to guarantee themselves a spot in the second round, and only 1 out left to do it. They'll send a pinch hitter to the plate in Chin Kabong. Jin batting in the 8th spot in the order. And he's behind 0-2. Koreans still going strong in their cheering section just down the first base line, with a glimmer of hope finally extinguished. They take the lead in the bottom of the 8th, but trust me on this one, the Koreans have been eliminated. Chinese Taipei is going to the second round of the World Baseball Classic for the first time in their history, and will play out the 9th to celebrate.
And one of the weirdest things you see in the dugout there, the congratulations after losing the lead, but knowing they're advancing.
Back in Taichung for the top of the 9th inning. The Koreans rally with 3 in their half of the 8th to take the lead, and in the process are effectively eliminated. They needed to win this game by 6 or more runs to clinch a spot in the second round. By failing to do so, Chinese Taipei is advancing. And this trip through in the 9th is effectively a victory lap, Joe.
It is a victory lap, a long and enjoyed one for Chinese Taipei, but one of the more unusual ones you'd ever see in baseball.
We got the sense early that they had no designs on winning a narrow one and advancing by backing in. They wanted a win, and perhaps they'll have it yet.
And they just want to continue to provide some entertainment to the biggest baseball crowd in Taiwan ever.
23,431 to see this one. A change of pitchers. We'll take the break with them and introduce the new Korean arm next. Korea's all-time saves leader, just shy of 250 in his prolific career. Oh Sung-won on to pitch in the top of the 9th inning. He's made an appearance in all 3 Korean contests. Struck out both batters he faced in his first appearance, an inning pitched in game 2, also a couple of strikeouts. Known for his 4-seam fastball, and he'll put it on display against Guo Yen-wen, the left-handed swinging second baseman. Batting out of the 9th spot tonight, he's doubled in score, 1 for 3.
Oh, has shown the ability to continue to rack up strikeouts. Throw that puff ball.
Brings his own rosin bag to the mound, and you'll see it in a moment. Puff of smoke off his hand as he releases. Heat swung on and missed.
Still a little tardy.
Perhaps some preparations for a post-game celebration underway. Again, Chinese Taipei, even though they're in position to lose the game here in the top of the ninth, by virtue of run differential, has already secured a spot in Tokyo. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Guo Yan Wen. And so the lineup will turn over, and once again, the leadoff man for Chinese Taipei will have a chance to hear it from his home crowd. He's had a great night. Yang Dai-gong reaching 3 times, a couple of hits, and he is the 2013 WBC Taichung Pool MVP. 4 hits, including a home run. He's driven in 4 and scored 3. Part of the reason that Chinese Taipei is advancing.
It's kind of really been symbolic of their team. Played with a lot of energy, come in with a hot bat.
Zone left field tonight as well. Read his scouting report, was positioned properly early and often in support of his brother, who got the start on the hill. There's the fastball. Gap right side there, Joe, if he's able to stretch it out and go to the opposite field.
I think that's pretty much the approach you have to have against a guy that's throwing smoke. He's getting the rosin bag going again. His own rosin bag, getting ready to throw the old puff ball. I'm thinking the high hard one.
You thought right. Broke him off a little something to start that at bat, and then came back with a couple of 89s.
All that's going to do is make old number 1 look a lot faster. Watch that poof coming right out of his hand, and fastball straight over the top.
Shallow center. Chun charging. And Chung Kanu going out to make the catch. And so Korea wins. Chinese Taipei, the 2-time semifinalists, and the Netherlands all wind up 2-1 by virtue of run differential formula. The Netherlands and Chinese Taipei are going on, and the host nation is the #1 seed coming out of Pool B.
And with Korea coming over to congratulate Chinese Taipei, I really think the big surprise with Korea being obviously the favorite to come out of this pool and the stronger one, and one of the neater exercises that we have seen here by Chinese Taipei as they all gather around the pitching mound to thank great support and local following, the greatest and largest group to ever see a baseball game here in Taiwan. And knowing that they're going to advance to round 2 in Tokyo.
So again, our final score here, 3-2 in favor of the Koreans. They were held shut out through the first 7, rallied for a 3 spot in the 8th to take the 1-run advantage. Shut down Chinese Taipei in their half of the 9th to get the win, but even in defeat, Chinese Taipei is the victor here. They have advanced past round 1 for the first time in their World Baseball Classic history, and they will go to Japan along with the Dutch. 3-2 our final score, the final tally. 2 runs on 9 hits and an error for Chinese Taipei. 3 on 8 hits, also an error defensively for Korea. That is the 6th and final game here in Pool B. Take a look ahead to Japan. And coverage begins on Friday in Tokyo. Cuba and Japan still have some seeding to decide amongst themselves in Pool A. Chinese Taipei and the Netherlands will represent Pool B. And that will be our next game of World Baseball Classic coverage. The 2-time defending champions and Cuba. Keep an eye on WorldBaseballClassic.com for all your post-game reaction, a preview of that one, and start times always. My partner Joe McGrain, I'm JB Long. Thank you for being with us in Taichung throughout this week for 6 games of Pool B coverage. It ends with a 3-2 Korean victory, but it's Chinese Taipei advancing for the first time, along with the Dutch. A record-setting weekend, 23,431 at Intercontinental Baseball Stadium to see this one. We say goodnight from Taiwan, and we will see you in Japan.